Hello and welcome to Quantitative Methods. My name's Roger Watson and I'm the module leader. Over the next few minutes I want to tell you a few things about the module. First thing to know about the module is that it's delivered completely online via our virtual learning environment. That means that there will be no face-to-face contact between yourselves and me or between you and your fellow students. The second aspect is that the module is delivered asynchronously. This means that the material is all available on the VLE in advance and that there won't be any real-time interaction again between yourselves and me or between you and your fellow students. However, this doesn't mean that there won't be interaction because there are group exercises that you're expected to take part in weekly, and I will be checking in on the VLE to see what's being posted and to advise and to answer questions. The material will all be available through the module handbook, which contains links to everything that I want you to have a look at and everything that is there in the way of online teaching materials. I'll show you that in a few minutes. I'll be delivering material via YouTube using screen captures and videos, and by podcasts and by articulate PowerPoints. Other material is all available online either through the internet or through the university website, particularly materials from the library. But I must emphasise that there's a great deal of self-directed learning in this, and you will be expected to look for your own materials for things that you don't understand. Speaking of things that you may not understand, the module covers a very broad spectrum of quantitative methods, from fairly low-level concepts to some fairly high-level concepts. Some of you may well be familiar with some of the easier material, some of you may not. I'd be really grateful if you were there to help your fellow students if you do understand, and to help the ones that perhaps don't. That's what the virtual learning environment and the forums there are all about. So we go from some fairly simple concepts like measurement and probability right up to some multivariate statistics, factor analysis and item response theory. We're not expecting you to learn everything about all of this, so don't worry. You're not going to be examined on it, but we do want to expose you to this material so that at least you know it's there and you may wish to use these techniques and methods of statistical analysis in the future. What we hope is that you get enough information from the module to understand how these techniques are used and what they mean when you read papers that use these methods. One skill that you will learn during the module is how to use the statistical package for the social sciences, and you will be required to have SPSS, which is the computer package associated with it, on your computer. There will be instructions available on how to do this, and there will be exercises in which you'll be expected to do some exercises using SPSS, do some calculations and do some statistics, but there's plenty of guidance available from me on how to do that. So I hope you enjoy the module, I hope you find it useful. I will be very available online, as I say, not necessarily when you need me, but I will be checking in regularly and I will answer any queries as soon as possible. I'll be grateful for any informal feedback on the way through, and I'll be very grateful for feedback on the module at the end. Thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to working with you and to interacting with you throughout the module. What I want to do here is to show you how to use the module handbook. The module handbook is available as a Word document. The front page clearly tells you what the module is. What I want to do is skip some of the early material here. You can read that yourself later and take you down to where the actual content of the sessions is given. This is under section 4, teaching program. Each of these pages after this contains a specific session within it. So session title, introduction to module, the next one is session title, measurement and prediction. But I'm not interested with the details of the session at the moment. What I want to do is show you that they're all laid out in exactly the same way. All the titles are the same, or the headings are the same, sorry. Session title, teaching staff, aims of session, learning outcomes, indicative content, learning and teaching strategies, relevant reading. We can skip the top material. What I really want to show you here is how to access material via the handbook. You'll see that there are hyperlinks down at the bottom. and the hyperlinks are pieces of text under which is linked a web link, and if you press Control and click on this, it opens up the link as a web page. In this case, there's a link each time to the concept of asynchronous learning, because that's the way that the course is delivered, and here it takes you to a Wikipedia page which tells you what asynchronous learning is. So that's available at each on each of the sessions, just to remind you. The next bullet point contains articulate PowerPoint presentations, YouTubes or podcast links. Sometimes there'll be all three, sometimes only one, and sometimes there won't necessarily be one there because the material may be covered by, for example, an articulate PowerPoint presentation in a previous session. But there will always be group activity exercises and self-directed learning, and if you control and click on these, the group activity exercises take you to my blog, where I've put these up for ease of access. Activity 1, Activity 2, it tells you what the activities are there and how you're supposed to participate in them. Then the next is self-directed learning. Now, self-directed learning is exactly what it says. It's learning that you direct by yourself, but I have provided some hints here on what I think you should be doing in the self-directed learning. There's no limit to the self-directed learning, of course. It's entirely up to you to deepen your understanding of anything that you feel you don't know in enough detail. Then the relevant reading is also given this way. Some of it's given as straightforward references, of course, to papers which are available in the library, or I will make them available on the VLE. The books in the library are mostly available electronically, and you can access them electronically as well. You don't need to get a hold of a hard copy. But for example, in this first one here, I've given you a link to setting up a Google account if you don't have one. It takes you to a page which tells you how to set up a Google account. You may already have one, you can use that. You'll need it to access the Blogger facility, which is part of the assessment, as you'll see. If you have one, you may want to set up another one to use specifically for this module. It's entirely up to you, but you do have to have one. Then there's guidance on getting started with Blogger, but I will take you through some aspects of Blogger later, and there will be a podcast on the assessment and what I expect to see and why we're using a blog. Then there is some guidance here from another university in America, from the University of Houston, on social networking and some points of caution. Remember that blogs are in the public domain. It's nothing to fear, but you do have to be careful what you're saying there and what you're putting up there. You probably know this already if you're users of Facebook and Twitter. And then instructions for installing SPSS. I will just show you that. That takes you to the university web page. There's not much guidance there. You use this part here, and if you're a student and you want some software, you press this help@hull.ac.uk email link, or if it doesn't work as a hyperlink, you paste that into your email and email them and ask them for the SPSS software. What they will do is then send you back a URL link to the software and some instructions on how to get it onto your PC. I'd like you to do that as early as you possibly can, just to make sure that you know how to do it and that you've actually got it on your PC. I need to be assured of that early within the module. Now that's all that I wanted to show you there about the module handbook. What I want to do now is to show you some points about Blogger. Blogger is accessed through Google, and I find the easiest way to do it is simply to sign into your own Google account, provided you've had one or created one. Once you're in there, you type in to the search bar Blogger. Blogger comes up here and you click on that, and that takes you into your blogging area. You can see that I already have several blogs set up here. What you'll be required to do is to set up a new blog. So you go to new blog, give it a title. I'll just call this the ABC blog for the time being, and you need to give it an address, so I'll call it ABCDXYZ, seems to work. And you also need to choose a template. There are many of these, you can customize them as well, but I'll just choose the simple template. If the blog address is already in use, it says sorry, the blog is not available, so somebody else has already given it that name. We'll call it the Quantitative Methods ABC blog. Type in some random letters. Doesn't really matter what. Checking address availability. Okay, the blog address is available. Then you create your blog. So it tells me here that the blog's been created successfully. This is the ABC blog here, just ignore the rest. Gives you the opportunity here to start posting. I'll just dismiss that for the time being. What you need to do within each blog is to create posts, and what I'd like you to do is to create one blog for the whole assessment for the module. Don't create a series of different blogs, but in that blog I'd like you to do a weekly entry. So the entry is put in by creating a new post by pressing on the pen there, and here you give it a title, so you could call it the Week 1 blog, something like that. Better probably to give it the title of the session actually. I'll just call it Week 1, and here you type in something about it. I love this session. Okay, I'm just being facetious there. There are various things that you can do here. You can go to the internet and you can find a link. Let's find a link to the University of Hull. Go to the University of Hull webpage. If you copy that URL there for the University of Hull and go here, and I love this session, and put Uni of Hull, and you wanted to take somebody to the University of Hull through your blog, you highlight it, go to link, right click, paste that in there, and OK, and that creates a hyperlink to the University of Hull. All these other instructions here of course are self-explanatory. Font, size, whether it's a heading or a subheading, bold, italics and all the rest of it. Some fairly normal facilities for writing available here. I tend to not to use headings and subheadings, just to use a plain font and plain headings. The next thing you can do is you can insert images. So I will click on image. What you need to do is choose a file. I'll go to the desktop. I happen to have an image there, a JPEG file of my avatar. Once it's uploaded, it can take a while for big files. There it is. Click on it, add selected, and it gets pasted in to the blog. You can make it small, you can move it to the right, you can put a caption in, whatever you want. And if you wanted to, you can also insert videos. You may have your own YouTube channel, you can find YouTube videos or whatever, or you can put them in from your webcam. That's up to you. I wouldn't necessarily expect you to put in videos, but you're welcome to if you want to. But it'd be really good to see you putting in hyperlinks into interesting material and explaining why it's interesting, and if necessary, putting in a picture. For example, in your first entry, I'd like to see you put in a picture of yourself. It's always good practice. You don't have to do that, but it's up to you. So the next thing you would do, you can always save this, and when you save it, it stays as a draft and it doesn't disappear. If you go back to view the blog, no posts, but there are, get rid of that. There we go, ABC blog, one post. But it's a draft. So if it's in draft, it hasn't been posted on the web. So you can play about with this for a while before you put it up. To get into it again, you can edit it. You can see what it will look like when it's up on the web for real. That's what it would look like with the preview. So a lot you can do. You can play about here quite a bit before you actually put it up. When you actually want to put it up on the web, you press publish and it goes on the web. I'll press publish. And in order to see it and to share it with people, you need to press view, and that's what it looks like when it's on the web. And to share it with someone, for example, we want you to share your blog entries with your colleagues, highlight that, highlight and copy, and you can either hyperlink that into the virtual learning environment, or just provide the link and say, here's my entry for week 1 and here's the link, and if they click on that they'll be taken to your entry for week 1. If you don't like your link, you can get rid of it. Delete it and it's gone. There are various settings. It might be a good idea to go to settings and posts and comments and to only allow members of the blog, that's people that you allow to sign up and follow you, and always moderate comments there. That would prevent people from putting any untoward comments up on your blog. It's very unlikely to happen, but I think it might be wise just to press those. I won't on mine here because I quite like the comments. So there we have the process for creating a blog and then creating entries within it. So for each week you should create a new entry using this facility here. I think the best thing is just to leave it there, and then you can play about with Blogger yourself and find out how to work it. What I would need from you for each of your blogs is the blog name and how to find it. So you go to view blog, and here you get the random series of letters blogspot.co.uk, usually be called something else. What I will need from each of you is that URL so that I can look at the blog as it's being built, compare entries, and also assess it at the end. Thanks for listening to the introductory material about the module handbook and the screen captures on setting up Blogger. Here's my email address if you need to contact me, and you can also follow me on Twitter.